Hello, this is Matthew Robert Payne, and this is a video called Visiting Martin Luther in Heaven. Uh, First of all, we'll start with his house and have a couple of images of his house. He has a badminton court outside his back door, and he's also got a couple of tennis courts in his backyard, um, and I can notice a ball machine that punts out balls for you to hit. I can see one of them in the tennis court. When you come inside his house, he's also got a couple of squash courts, and I was talking to him when I was making my coffee, and it'll make sense when we hear what he's doing in heaven. So, um, what are you doing in heaven? Um, I'm a recreation officer. I encourage people to do sports and recreation. I The reason I've got the badminton court and the tennis courts and the squash courts is I teach people sports and play with them sports and encourage them to get their friends to play sport. Uh, I I really believe in recreation. It can help you process pain. It can help you process your life, and the Lord has given me people to encourage into recreation. I have a series of people come and go from my services. They When they arrive in heaven, they have a tennis court in their mansion, outside their mansion, or they may have a squash court or a badminton court, or they may have a soccer field behind them, behind their house. Whatever sport they're going to choose to do, they have that accommodated in their mansion. But some people simply need encouragement to play a sport, and they need to be influenced by someone to take it on. And I'm just like the person on a cruise ship that gets people involved in activities, and I'm like an activities manager of heaven. You may wonder that I was responsible for the breakaway of the Protestant Church in in the world. You may wonder that my job isn't spiritual, and it's not an important job. And you'll find as you read the books on the saints, there's many people doing many things in heaven. People really open up when they've enjoyed themselves and I've played sport, and um, I'm able to sow into people's lives and coach people uh, who open up and play sport. I match people up. I help them get friends that will play tennis against them. I help them find friends who will play squash against them. I organise people into teams to play soccer uh, and all sorts of sports. I'm very agile and fit, and I enjoy sports, and I encourage people to participate in them. Um, uh, there's no there's no overweight people in heaven. There's people are fit in heaven. They've got a good diet and they get good exercise, and there's no sickness in heaven. And I I help people choose a sport and choose a recreation for themselves, um, and I enjoy doing it. I get to have really good, plain and common sense conversations with people as they relax and take pressure off themselves. They're able to let their head down and be at peace with heaven. And I enjoy touching people's lives and directing them into playing a sport. I participate in many of the sports. As we're getting the person to start, I'll play squash against them and teach them the game of squash, and then I'll match make with the people and find them partners. As I said, people when they learn a sport will find that sports place in their mansion in heaven. They'll arrive in heaven and there'll be a squash court in the house if they're destined to play squash, or there'll be an oval outside the house if they're meant to play soccer. And heaven accommodates people really well. So Matthew has played squash before. He's played badminton before. He's played tennis before, but he's not very good at any of them. He played a little bit of tennis when he was young. But you're able to think and you're able to express yourself in sport. And we certainly want people thinking and expressing themselves in heaven. I study in heaven. I study the Word of God and study theology in heaven, and I do that with a large amount of my time. And I'm not teaching at the moment. I'm just being a good student and a recreational coach for people in heaven. Many people in heaven, it's mentioned in the books already, but many people in heaven arrive with trauma and in their life that they've lived on the life on earth, they've experienced a lot of trauma, and sport just gets a person out of their mind and gets them active and thinking differently. And so sport is a kind of therapy for people. People open up and discuss things when they're energized and they're feeling when they're feeling good and energized by a sport. They'll open up and share things, and I'm there to share things. But I act as like a matchmaker, matching people in sports and getting them involved in sports. You may wonder what sort of sports are in heaven. Have a whole range of sports in heaven, a whole range of team sports and different sports, and um, we have championships and competitions in heaven, and we have teams that participate in competitions, and it's joyful. If you've read my series of books, Matthew's series of books, you'll know that heaven is a place of competitions, and heaven strives on a spirit of excellence, and through competition that can be achieved. What do you like about heaven? I like how many choices there are in heaven. When you arrive in heaven, you have a choice as you settle in. You have a choice in what you are going to be doing in heaven for a vocation. You have choices about different things, choices about what sort of clothes you want to wear, what sort of friends you want to have. Heaven makes choices for your friends. Heaven, the Holy Spirit knows what sort of people you're going to get on with, and heaven pretty much chooses your friends, and heaven chooses the house that you're going to live in, and you'll find there'll be elements in your house that you really love when you see your house, but there's many choices in heaven, especially your vocation. You may start in one vocation in heaven, what you used to on earth, and then you may learn about a different vocation and choose that you might want to try that and train to do that, and heaven accommodates that choice. So people have choices in heaven. It's a really free society, and because there's no pressure monetary wise to choose a job and be successful in a job like there is on earth. You've got expenses and rent and bills and different things to pay on earth. Sometimes people can be trapped in their occupation and feel that they have no choice but to do a job they don't like because they've got to pay the bills and financially survive. In heaven, there's no pressure for your income. You've got no income in heaven, and no pressure, no rent to pay, no bills to pay, no cell phone bills, no internet bills, no membership bills, no shopping bills. You don't have to clothe yourself with expensive clothes. You don't have to spend loads of money on yourself. Money is really free, and it's surprising how freeing heaven is in that regard. When you take away money and the need for money, it opens up so many possibilities and opportunities. And I really enjoy watching people become set free. As I said, people arrive in heaven traumatized, many people, and it's good to watch them participate in sport and start to develop a relationship with Jesus and become free and become acceptable, become accepted by heaven and become loved. It's not as though heaven doesn't accept you. The people of heaven accept everyone. But it's whether you can live with yourself and accept yourself, and heaven liberates you and sets you on the right path. So I enjoy the choices that heaven allows people to have. I enjoy watching people arrive in heaven and acclimatize themselves to heaven and develop their sports and develop their interests, develop their favorite things to do. I enjoy speaking to people and listening to their story and understanding them at a greater depth than some people might understand them. And I am glad with my job, and I chose this job. I have always been a person interested in sport, and I got introduced to squash by someone doing my job in heaven, and I really enjoyed it. And the more I looked at that job, the more I was fascinated with it. And heaven gave me the opportunity to choose my vocation, and my job allows me to mix with lots of people, and people come and go from my service. Once a person is established in a sport, they go on and play that sport with friends that have been introduced to them. And so I have a constant stream of new people coming into my service, and God really delights in touching people's lives and helping people to adjust in heaven. And Jesus is really kind to people, and I've seen Jesus play tennis, and I've seen Jesus play squash, and you may wonder, oh, that's Jesus, he's perfect. He's a good squash player, but you can beat Jesus in squash, and you can beat Jesus in tennis, and he doesn't have to be the best, and he doesn't play worse on those days. It's just that you may have played better than him. And so Jesus likes to encourage people in all sorts of things, and Jesus will often play a game of squash with a person to open the person up and spend some quality time with the person. many people find themselves in sport and really enjoy sport, and Jesus likes to connect with people around their sport. And so he may play tennis for half an hour with a person, an hour with a person, then spend another hour talking to them after the game of tennis. Yeah, so I enjoy all aspects of heaven. Heaven is so expansive. There's so many free activities that you can do, and I enjoy experiencing heaven. My job may have been a surprise to you that I'm doing that. You may wonder about such a serious person as myself, what I'm not doing, teaching theology or teaching. I enjoy being a student, like Billy Graham. I enjoy my studies, and I enjoy learning the things of God and spending my time becoming more proficient in the scriptures and more knowledgeable about God and his kingdom. And I hope that answered your question, Matthew. Next question, what message have you got for us? As a person who is involved in people's recreation and sports, I encourage you to get something that interests you. It doesn't have to be a sport. It could be just an interest, like reading or watching videos or watching TV or studying, whatever it is that interests you. Take the time to spend quality amount of time doing those things that you love. Matthew loves to read and watch videos, and he does quite a lot of it. And I encourage you to find the things that give you peace, that bring you comfort, and spend time doing those things. I encourage you to be the voice of love and concern in people's lives. I encourage you to love in action, not just be a Christian and not just be a believer and follow the works of the Bible, but to be active in your Christian faith and outgoing in your Christian faith, and be a person who takes the first step when it comes to being a real friend of someone. Go the extra mile. Be a person who understands people's frailties and understands people's imperfections, and understands people who might not have it all together, and be a person who fills in the shortfall and compensates for people's disabilities or people's place where they're uncomfortable, and be a safe harbour for people, like a ship coming in to a harbour from rocky seas. Be that safe and quiet harbour for people. Be a place out of the storms of life where people can relax and be loved for who they are. And everyone has something. Everyone has redeeming factors in their life. Everyone's got redeeming qualities in their life. Find those redeeming qualities and exercise your love and your concern in people's lives, and be an example to people of love. Manifest the love of Jesus for people, and encourage them to uh, go after the things that they love and the things that interest them. Be a source of love and be a source of encouragement to people, for them to step out and go after their dreams and go after the desires. Ask people about the deep things in their life, the deep dreams and desires that they have, and be a long-term friend and not so much a short-term friend, and be there as the person has trials and difficulties and struggles. Be a person who stands up for them and comforts them and encourages them in their life and their struggles. Um, be a person of prayer. Be a person who grows in your relationship with Jesus and the Father, and be a person who a friend can come to, and they can be confident that you're not only going to comfort them, but you're going to be a person of prayer and pray for them and hold them up. It's always encouraging for a person to hear your prayer. It's always encouraging for a person, for you not just to say that you're going to pray for them, but it's edifying and encouraging for a person, for them to hear the prayer that you pray for them. And so I encourage you to be a good friend to people, and reach out to people and love people in word and deed. Love people not only in words, but in actions. And I encourage you to draw close to Jesus, draw close to him and his kingdom. Jesus is an entity that has to put up with the affairs of life and has to put up with the struggles in the world. Jesus sees all the pain and the hardship in the world, and he sees people suffering, and it affects him because he loves people. And try and be a friend to Jesus that discusses his issues with him, and his concerns, and his disappointments with mankind, and draw close to Jesus and become someone that he can lean on, and someone that he can confide in. And you'll be surprised that Jesus will share with you his concerns and his worries and his disappointments, and that'll take your relationship to another level, and you can be someone who understands that they're helping Jesus through life's difficulties, and the job of overseeing the world. And you can be a friend of Jesus like that, and you can understand his mind and understand his thoughts, and discuss the deep things of the world with Jesus. So draw close to Jesus, become his friend, become his confidant, someone who understands him and relates to him and cares for him. And I hope you were encouraged by this chapter, and I look forward to meeting you and speaking to you in heaven and getting you organised in your first recreational sport. God bless.